Stop right there. Every second you spend trying to prove your value to someone who will never see it is a second stolen from your life. Your worth is not up for debate. Your energy is not theirs to drain. And the truth, the people who truly matter will recognize your power without you having to explain a single thing. Today, I'm going to show you why letting go of the wrong opinions isn't just freeing. It's how you win at life. Every minute you spend convincing someone of your worth is a minute stolen from your growth. It's easy to fall into the trap of over-explaining yourself, of justifying your actions, or of trying to make someone understand what they're too blind to see. You don't need permission to exist at your fullest potential, and you don't need validation from those who cannot recognize your value. Every time you shrink yourself to meet someone else's expectations, you're essentially telling yourself that you are not enough. Stop doing that. Own your space unapologetically. Own your skills unapologetically. Own your voice unapologetically. People who truly belong in your life will understand your worth without requiring an essay or a presentation. Your energy is precious, and spending it on the wrong people is a loss you can't afford. The problem with constantly explaining yourself is that it communicates doubt. Doubt in your own abilities, doubt in your own judgment, doubt in your own path. You start to internalize their disbelief, and suddenly your confidence starts to wobble. This is the moment when you allow other people's inability to see your potential to dictate your self-perception. And that's dangerous. Confidence is a muscle, and every time you over-explain, you weaken it. The wrong people will always require more than you can give. They will test, they will doubt, they will minimize. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to cultivate yourself, to build undeniable results, and to live in a way that leaves no question about your value. Stop apologizing for being who you are. When you stop seeking approval from those who cannot see your worth, you create room for the people who matter. People who matter don't need you to explain. They see it. They feel it. They recognize it in your work, in your presence, and in the energy you bring into every room. The people worth your time will elevate you, not drain you. They will support your growth, celebrate your wins, and challenge you to reach higher without questioning why you deserve it. Your worth is not conditional, and your value is not negotiable. Those who cannot recognize that are not your audience, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you reclaim your focus. Energy invested in the wrong people is energy that will never return multiplied. Protect your attention like it's the most valuable asset you own. Every time you over-explain yourself, you allow the wrong people to occupy mental real estate in your mind. You replay conversations that don't serve you. You dissect moments that aren't relevant to your growth. You obsess over judgments that are meaningless. And in the process, you steal peace from yourself. Peace is a resource, and once it's gone, it's not easy to regain. When you learn to internalize your validation, you stop reacting to external skepticism. You stop bending to meet impossible expectations. You stop chasing people who will never appreciate the depth of your work. The power lies in understanding that the people who truly matter don't require your defense. They simply acknowledge, they simply recognize, they simply appreciate. That's freedom. There is a cost to constantly explaining your worth, and it's more than just time. It's your mental bandwidth, your emotional energy, and your focus on building the life you want. When you spend your energy justifying who you are to the wrong audience, you are diverting resources from your real mission. Your goals, your vision, and your dreams deserve undivided attention. You can't fully create while you're preoccupied with proving yourself to someone who refuses to see. The world does not owe you recognition, and neither does anyone else. Your success is not contingent on their approval. Build it anyway, create anyway, invest in yourself anyway. The right people will show up when your value is undeniable, your worth is innate. It doesn't require explanation. It doesn't need justification, negotiation, or permission. You exist, you produce, and you contribute. That alone carries immense power. Some people will never understand it, and that's their limitation, not yours. Recognize this early and you save yourself from unnecessary conflict. Confidence grows when it's cultivated internally, not externally. Your self-worth should be a lighthouse, unwavering and steadfast, not a flickering candle waiting for validation from those who can't see the light. When you internalize this truth, you stop arguing with the wrong people. You stop trying to convert skeptics. You stop shrinking. You start expanding naturally and powerfully. Every individual has a finite amount of energy to invest in their life. Spending it on the wrong people is like watering a dead plant and expecting it to bloom. The resources you give to someone who doesn't value them will never return to you. Instead, invest in those who elevate, inspire, and see the value you bring without demanding proof. Energy follows focus. Focus on the people, projects, and purposes that recognize your contribution. Let your work, your integrity, and your consistency serve as your loudest statement. Don't dilute your voice trying to meet expectations that are irrelevant to your growth. Stand firm and let the right audience find you naturally. That is not arrogance, that is clarity. When you own your value unapologetically, the ripple effect is extraordinary. You inspire others to do the same. You set a standard in your interactions, in your work, and in your relationships. People will either rise to meet that standard or step aside, and that's exactly as it should be. You teach the world how to treat you through the boundaries you enforce and the confidence you embody. Over-explaining erodes that teaching, it weakens the signal. It invites disrespect, it allows people to dictate your self-perception. Stop that cycle. Recognize that your worth is non-negotiable, and let your actions communicate it far louder than any explanation could. This is how influence is built, quietly but powerfully. The truth is, the wrong people will never understand your journey. They cannot see the sacrifices you've made, the battles you've fought, and the discipline you've cultivated. They cannot comprehend the work behind the results. And when you try to explain it, you are essentially trying to educate someone who isn't willing to learn. Save yourself that energy. Let your progress speak for itself. Let your achievements, consistency, and resilience be the evidence. Those who matter will recognize it immediately. Those who don't are irrelevant. You cannot live your life catering to every misunderstanding, every doubt, every limited perception. Live for those who see, not for those who pretend not to. Your confidence becomes magnetic the moment you stop explaining yourself. People begin to respect your time, your energy, and your boundaries because you do. You become selective in the attention you give, and the world responds to that. You stop chasing meaningless validation and start cultivating meaningful connection. Your value radiates through your presence, your decisions, and your results. And the most profound part is this: the less you explain, the more people start noticing. The wrong people fade away and the right people align naturally. You are no longer reacting, you are leading. You are no longer defensive, you are commanding. And this shift in mindset is what separates those who are constantly proving themselves from those who are living unapologetically in their worth. Every day that you stop explaining your worth to the wrong people is a day of freedom reclaimed. You regain time, clarity, and energy. You stop letting others' limitations define your self-perception. You start living intentionally, focusing on growth, impact, and relationships that matter. The wrong people will question, doubt, and criticize. It's inevitable, but their opinions become irrelevant. Your worth is visible through your actions, your consistency, and your presence. Stop defending yourself to people who cannot see. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop over-explaining what is already true. Own your value, protect it, amplify it, and in doing so, you create a life where your worth is recognized, not argued over. Every explanation comes at a cost, and most people don't realize just how high that cost is. When you feel compelled to justify yourself to someone who refuses to see your value, you are draining your energy, distracting your focus, and diluting your impact. Every word you spend trying to convince them is a resource that could have fueled growth, learning, and progress. People who matter will recognize your worth without demanding proof, but the wrong people will always ask for more. They will question, doubt, and minimize, and the moment you try to satisfy that, you lose yourself. The cost is not just time, it's clarity, peace of mind, and forward momentum. Understanding this is the first step toward reclaiming control over your energy. Stop paying unnecessary taxes in the form of explanations. Invest in yourself instead. The act of over-explaining communicates doubt even when you feel confident inside. Every time you justify your actions, you signal that someone else's perception carries more weight than your own self-assessment. This is dangerous because confidence is fragile when it relies on external validation. The wrong people will never see your perspective. They are not equipped to. And yet, so many of us expend mental bandwidth trying to translate our value into words for those who refuse to listen. This energy could be redirected toward building, creating, and producing results that are impossible to ignore. Let your actions speak louder than explanations. The right people will see it. The wrong people will fade away, and your life will benefit from that clarity. Every conversation in which you defend your worth gives the wrong people access to your mind. You replay their criticisms, dissect their opinions, and carry their doubts into your own thoughts. This is the silent tax of over-explaining. The mental load becomes exhausting, and it distracts you from the goals that truly matter. The energy invested in them never returns multiplied, it dissipates. Imagine channeling that same energy into refining your craft, building relationships with the right people, or improving yourself. The difference is exponential. By refusing to justify yourself to those who cannot understand, you reclaim mental clarity. You gain focus. You eliminate unnecessary friction. You move forward unencumbered by opinions that do not serve your mission. Understanding the difference between recognition and validation is critical. Recognition is earned through consistent results, impact, and integrity. Validation, however, is dependent on others' moods, biases, and limited understanding. The wrong people can never consistently provide validation because they are not aligned with your path. The moment you chase their approval, you compromise your growth and your potential. They will always ask for more proof, more explanations, more reassurances, and yet their understanding will remain shallow. The real power lies in internal validation, knowing your worth, trusting your process, and refusing to let anyone else dictate your self-perception. That internal compass is unshakable when cultivated intentionally. There is a profound liberation in choosing who deserves your explanation. Not everyone who questions your actions is entitled to an answer. Not every opinion is relevant to your journey. The moment you accept that, you begin to conserve energy, you begin to protect your focus, you begin to invest in people and pursuits that amplify your impact instead of draining it. Those who truly belong in your life will recognize your effort, dedication, and vision without lengthy justification. They will provide support naturally, celebrate your wins, and challenge you to grow without diminishing your worth. Energy spent on the wrong people is energy that could have fueled greatness elsewhere. Over-explaining also undermines your authority. The more you feel compelled to justify yourself, the more you allow others to question your competency. Authority and confidence are built on action, not defense. The wrong people will test boundaries, question your decisions, and attempt to erode your self-belief. By refusing to engage in these futile explanations, you reinforce your autonomy. You demonstrate that your time, effort, and energy are valuable and non-negotiable. The right people respect that. The wrong people adapt or step aside. This shift is subtle but transformative. Your confidence solidifies, your influence increases, and your impact expands, all because you stopped explaining yourself to those who will never understand. It is also important to understand the psychological toll of over-explaining. Your mind begins to measure your worth based on others' acceptance, leading to anxiety, self-doubt, and decision paralysis. Every action is weighed against potential criticism. Every achievement is questioned internally before being celebrated. This is a recipe for stagnation and frustration. By choosing not to explain yourself to the wrong people, you eliminate this self-imposed limitation. You free yourself to make decisions aligned with your vision, to take bold actions without hesitation, and to pursue opportunities without fear of judgment. Your mind becomes your ally rather than a prison dictated by others' perceptions. Energy is finite and attention is a limited resource. When you spend it defending your value to someone who will never acknowledge it, you are investing in a negative ROI. The wrong people rarely, if ever, return that energy multiplied. They will criticize, distract, and drain your focus. The right people, however, recognize without prompting. They align with your vision, they support your journey, and they amplify your efforts. Choosing who deserves your energy is the most strategic decision you can make. This principle applies in work, relationships, and personal growth. Your attention should flow toward people and projects that expand your influence and reinforce your worth, not diminish it. Freedom emerges when you internalize your validation and stop seeking external approval. You are no longer reactive to opinions that don't matter. You stop bending to meet expectations that are irrelevant to your path. You reclaim mental space, emotional balance, and focus. You become deliberate in every interaction, every project, and every relationship. The energy once spent on explaining yourself is now invested in building tangible results, developing your skills, and creating impact. You begin to attract recognition naturally because your value is visible and undeniable. The wrong people fade into irrelevance, and the right people rise into your life, reinforcing your mission and amplifying your growth. Consistency becomes your loudest statement when you stop over-explaining. Your work, your effort, and your results communicate more effectively than words ever could. Those who matter notice. Those who doubt eventually cannot ignore the truth. By redirecting energy from explanations to action, you cultivate credibility and authority organically. Your presence becomes magnetic because it's anchored in integrity, discipline, and clarity of purpose. Over time, people learn to respect your boundaries without negotiation, your work without justification, and your worth without proof. This is how influence grows, through action, not over-explanation, and through results, not persuasion. Every choice to stop explaining yourself is a reinforcement of your self-worth. It's a declaration that you will no longer surrender your energy to those who cannot appreciate it. You conserve mental bandwidth, protect emotional resilience, and create space for meaningful relationships and pursuits. Your focus sharpens, your impact grows, and your confidence solidifies. The wrong people will continue to doubt, criticize, or misunderstand, but their opinions no longer control you. By internalizing your validation and refusing to justify yourself unnecessarily, you step into a life of intentionality, strength, and clarity. This is the power of prioritizing yourself over external approval. The people you surround yourself with shape your mindset, your energy, and ultimately your success. Choosing the wrong people as your audience is not just unproductive, it's toxic. Critics will always exist, but some are not meant to influence your journey. When you spend your time trying to earn the approval of those who cannot recognize your worth, you compromise your focus and your potential. Instead, surround yourself with recognizers, those who see your vision, respect your effort, and challenge you to grow. These are the people worth your time, energy, and explanation. They don't need long justifications. They see the value inherently. Your inner circle determines the quality of your life, and investing in the right people multiplies your growth. Every interaction with the wrong audience is a silent tax on your energy. Their doubts, their criticisms, and their need for constant explanation drain mental bandwidth you could use for creation. By contrast, recognizers amplify your efforts. They support, challenge, and motivate. They don't question your worth, they reinforce it. This difference transforms how you approach work, life, and relationships. The energy spent on the right people compounds exponentially, while the energy spent on critics dissipates. Choosing wisely is not arrogance, it's strategic. Your time, attention, and focus are valuable commodities. Spend them on those who elevate you. Stop explaining to those who never will. The wrong people will always test boundaries and push limits that don't exist. They will demand more validation than you can reasonably provide. Their recognition is conditional, and their skepticism is endless. Chasing their approval is like pouring water into a broken bucket. It never fills, and it leaves you exhausted. Recognizers, however, see your effort without the need for proof. They understand your process and honor your growth trajectory. Being around the wrong people fosters doubt, insecurity, and stagnation. Being around recognizers fosters confidence, courage, and acceleration. Your environment dictates your mindset, and the right people act as catalysts rather than anchors. Choose wisely. Over-explaining to the wrong people is not only draining, it undermines your authority. When you constantly justify yourself to those who will never understand, you signal insecurity. Confidence, credibility, and influence are built on action, not defense. Recognizers don't need explanations. They trust your abilities and acknowledge your impact. Your energy becomes magnetic when you stop bending to satisfy skeptics. You establish boundaries naturally, and the wrong people either adapt or fade away. Authority is maintained silently through consistency, integrity, and results. The people who deserve your time recognize that instinctively. Focus on them and watch your influence grow exponentially. The wrong people rarely appreciate the full scope of your journey. They cannot see the sacrifices, the late nights, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. They minimize achievements, question intentions, and generate unnecessary friction. Recognizers, however, see beyond the surface. They understand effort, process, and vision. Surrounding yourself with them fosters growth, learning, and ambition. It eliminates wasted energy on arguments, defensiveness, and proving yourself. Recognition from the right audience becomes effortless, natural, and empowering. Your results speak for themselves in the presence of the right people. Your confidence flourishes without compromise. Your influence spreads without resistance. Every decision to invest energy in recognizers rather than critics strengthens your internal validation. You no longer measure your worth against opinions that hold no weight. Your focus shifts toward building, creating, and impacting. The right people provide honest feedback, celebrate wins, and push you past comfort zones. They do not drain you, they multiply your energy. Surrounding yourself with recognizers fosters clarity of purpose, resilience in the face of obstacles, and consistency in action. The wrong people will fade naturally because their input no longer controls you. Internalizing your value creates freedom from unnecessary persuasion. Your attention becomes intentional, directed, and powerful. Recognizers act as mirrors reflecting your potential back at you. They see what you cannot always see in yourself and remind you of your capabilities. Critics distort perception, cloud judgment, and instill doubt. Aligning with recognizers creates accountability, growth, and momentum. You move faster, think clearer, and take bolder steps. The energy once wasted on convincing skeptics is now reinvested into your development and impact. Surrounding yourself with the right people amplifies not just your results, but your confidence. It allows you to pursue audacious goals without hesitation or self-doubt. The quality of your circle determines the quality of your life, and choosing wisely is a strategic necessity. It's easy to mistake the presence of many people for meaningful support. Quantity does not equal quality. Critics can outnumber recognizers, and yet the few who truly see you make all the difference. Prioritize relationships with people who challenge, elevate, and inspire. Avoid those who constantly question, judge, or drain. Your energy is finite, and strategic allocation is essential. Recognizers bring clarity, encouragement, and alignment with your purpose. Critics bring noise, doubt, and distraction. Every decision about whom to explain yourself to impacts your focus, results, and mental health. Be selective. Value your attention. Protect your energy. Recognizers also act as accelerators for opportunities. They connect you to the right people, provide constructive feedback, and champion your growth. Their belief in you allows you to take risks, embrace challenges, and innovate fearlessly. Critics, on the other hand, hold you back through skepticism, doubt, and negativity. Choosing your audience changes not only your mindset, but also your trajectory. Over time, your network becomes a reflection of your energy and your vision. Recognizers amplify your value naturally, without requiring justification or persuasion. The wrong people fade, leaving a clear path to influence, success, and fulfillment. Every interaction becomes intentional, purposeful, and empowering. The freedom that comes from focusing on recognizers is transformative. You stop reacting to meaningless criticism and start moving in alignment with your goals. Your energy is no longer stolen by those who will never understand. Your focus sharpens, your confidence solidifies, and your results become undeniable. Recognizers celebrate your journey without demanding proof, provide support without conditions, and inspire excellence without comparison. By investing in the right people, you amplify your growth, your influence, and your impact. Over time, the wrong people become irrelevant, and the right people elevate every aspect of your life. Strategic energy allocation is the key to living unapologetically in your worth. Surrounding yourself with recognizers transforms the way you approach life. You no longer seek validation externally because your environment reinforces your value naturally. Energy, focus, and attention are invested in projects, people, and opportunities that align with your purpose. Critics no longer dictate your self-perception, and the constant need to justify yourself disappears. Your results, consistency, and presence communicate your worth without explanation. Recognizers amplify this impact, ensuring that your growth is accelerated, supported, and celebrated. The quality of your circle determines the quality of your output, influence, and mindset. Choose wisely, invest strategically, align intentionally. People who matter don't need you to explain your worth. They see it naturally in your actions, your consistency, and the energy you bring into every interaction. The wrong people, however, will question, doubt, and minimize no matter how much proof you provide. Stop trying to convince them. Let your results speak louder than any words could. Every action you take is a reflection of your value, and those who are aligned with your vision will recognize it without hesitation. Focusing on results rather than explanations shifts your energy from reactive to proactive. It allows you to create impact without interruption. It allows your work to become the loudest voice in the room. Let your results always be the evidence of your worth. Over-explaining your worth is exhausting because it asks for validation from those incapable of giving it. Critics will always find reasons to dismiss your efforts, and skeptics will always need more proof. Chasing their approval is a trap that drains your energy and stunts growth. Your time, your focus, and your mental bandwidth are finite resources. Spend them wisely. Invest in people, projects, and goals that amplify your impact. Let your results carry the weight of your value, and let the wrong people fade into irrelevance. Action creates credibility. Words without results invite doubt. When you prioritize results over explanations, you reclaim your power and direct your life with clarity and purpose. Consistency is more powerful than argument. The people who recognize your worth notice patterns, dedication, and reliability. They don't need long explanations to see your value. Critics, on the other hand, will always search for flaws, inconsistencies, or reasons to discount your contributions. By focusing on results, you create a record of undeniable achievement. Every small victory compounds into proof of your competence and character. Stop arguing with people who refuse to see. Demonstrate your worth through effort, impact, and excellence. The right people will notice naturally. When results speak louder than words, your influence multiplies, and your presence commands respect effortlessly. Your actions create a narrative your explanations never could. Every project, every goal, and every effort you pursue is an opportunity to demonstrate your value. When you stop over explaining and start producing results, you unlock freedom in thought and clarity in action. The energy that was once spent defending your worth now fuels creation, growth, and influence. Critics may continue to question, but their doubts become irrelevant. The right people will naturally recognize your contributions and amplify your impact. Focus on measurable outcomes. Consistent effort and undeniable progress, these are the proofs that matter. Results eliminate ambiguity and command attention. The world respects action, not apology. Choose to let your results define your narrative, and your worth becomes self-evident. Results also create momentum, both internally and externally. When you produce consistently, your confidence grows, and your belief in yourself becomes unshakable. The wrong people may try to undermine this, but they cannot stop it. Every achievement, every milestone, and every forward step builds a foundation of credibility that words cannot replicate. Action inspires trust, loyalty, and recognition in those who matter. It establishes a track record that validates your abilities without explanation. Over time, results compound, influence grows, and skeptics naturally lose relevance. Your impact expands because it is undeniable. Let your work be the proof of your value. Let your results speak in volumes that no criticism can drown out. The right people are drawn to results, not excuses. When you focus on action instead of explanation, you create magnetic energy that attracts collaborators, supporters, and mentors. These individuals recognize your worth without needing justification. They align with your vision, amplify your influence, and challenge you to grow. Conversely, over-explaining to the wrong audience repels opportunity, drains energy, and clouds judgment. Results eliminate uncertainty and elevate your credibility in every sphere of life. Your actions become the language through which your value is communicated. When people see consistent results, they no longer ask questions. They pay attention, respect, and engage. This is the power of letting your work define your narrative. Results are also the ultimate boundary setters. When you demonstrate value through actions rather than explanations, you establish a standard for how you are treated. The right people respect your time, energy, and expertise because your results demand acknowledgement. Critics may attempt to push doubt or minimize, but they cannot erode the credibility you have built. Consistent results create a reputation that precedes you. They act as a protective shield for your energy and a magnet for aligned opportunities. Every outcome, every accomplishment, every consistent effort reinforces your worth in ways words alone cannot. Build your legacy through action. Let results be your constant advocate. Let them do the talking every single day. Focusing on results also cultivates resilience. When you stop over-explaining and start producing, external skepticism loses its power over you. Critics will always exist, but their opinions no longer dictate your mindset or your pace. Each accomplishment becomes proof that your worth is independent of validation from others. Momentum replaces doubt and confidence replaces hesitation. By letting your results define your value, you protect your energy from unnecessary stress and conflict. You focus on growth, innovation, and influence. You operate from a place of strength rather than defensiveness. The results you create speak volumes, and every step forward reinforces your ability to thrive on your own terms. The accumulation of results is also cumulative proof for the right audience. Mentors, peers, and collaborators notice consistent performance, dedication, and impact. You don't need to convince them verbally, they witness it. Your influence grows because results are tangible and measurable, whereas explanations are temporary and subjective. When your work consistently delivers, the right people recognize alignment, competence, and value automatically. Critics fade into the background because the narrative is no longer shaped by debate, but by achievement. Your value becomes undeniable, and your energy is protected. Let results guide perception, credibility, and opportunity. Let the impact of your work define your presence in the world. Ultimately, letting results speak louder than words is an act of empowerment. It frees you from the burden of constant explanation, from chasing approval, and from bending to meet others' limited perceptions. Your worth is validated through consistent action, not through persuasive arguments. The right people recognize it immediately. They celebrate it naturally. They align with it instinctively. Critics may question, doubt, or dismiss, but their influence over your life diminishes as your results accumulate. When results become your voice, your confidence grows, your energy is protected, and your influence expands. Let your life, your work, and your achievements speak your worth more clearly than you ever could. Every result is a declaration, a testament, and an undeniable proof of your value.